Hey, what is up guys? It is Phantom here and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. So, this is gonna be my kinda updated dungeon slash gear guide slash gear location guide video. So, for those of you who don't know, a long time ago, I posted a video, I'd say probably a little bit more than a year ago, called the Ultimate Gear Guide, and that's basically where I just kinda went to the places, where you'd like farm for pretty much the best gear, proportionate to your level. And I really kind of just wanted to remaster that video slash update it slash add on to what I said exactly, because obviously that video is a little bit outdated in this day and age. So I don't know, a few of you requested me to do this, so anyways, I wanted to do this because obviously I think it would help out a lot of people. I think a lot of times people just don't know exactly where to get the best gear, so I'd be happy to help, guys. So anyways, we're here in Wizard City because I'm going to be showing you guys basically where to get all your best gear, pretty much for like levels 1 through 29, I would say, like just about. And that's basically the Bazaar, guys. So if you don't know what the Bazaar is, you've kind of been living under a rock, so to speak. The Bazaar is basically just one big shop where you can kind of just pretty much buy like every piece of equipment. I mean, like, you know, rings, amulets, wands. I wouldn't recommend buying wands from the Bazaar, but obviously, you know, you can buy like this low-leveled gear. Let's say you're level 10. This myth robe, obviously, if you're kind of on a budget here, and let's say obviously you're not redeeming like, I don't know, bundle gear, like for a lower level. Obviously, this is pretty much the best place to go. There's some little like side bosses, kind of like sprinkled around like the lower level worlds that you could farm for the gear. But then again, I would say that gear is like barely or at least equal to the Bazaar gear. So I would say if you want to save time, if you want to save your time, money, energy for the first like 29 levels or so, just come to the Bazaar, guys. It's got pretty much everything you need up to that point, guys. You won't really be doing much. I mean, you'll be questing through like Marleybone during that time, or maybe you'll be just getting into Musha or something. So this gear will pretty much serve you really well for the first 29 levels, and I don't know, there really isn't like that many more options for lower levels. But anyways, guys, let's go to the next gear location. Alright, guys, so this next dungeon goes by the name of Mount Olympus. It is located in Aquila here in the Garden of Hesperides. Pretty much the only area in Aquila that exists, so you probably shouldn't have that much trouble finding it. But basically the dungeon's called Mount Olympus here. You know, I'm not gonna lie, fair warning for those of you new people who haven't done this dungeon before. It is definitely a little bit more difficult than your typical dungeon would be. Obviously, like, I would say, because you're coming here, I would say come here right when you get to level 30, because that's when you get the quest for this. So when you come here, the bosses pretty much have, like, I would say around 4 or 5 times, like, the amount of health, or at least the really hard ones. Probably have 4 or 5 times the amount of health that, like, than the mobs that you'd be regularly fighting. So let's say, like, Marleybone or Mushu mobs, guys. But basically, I would say go into this dungeon with definitely 4 or 3 other people, including yourself, who are all, you know, they should at least obviously be level 30 or up. I'm sure if you have like 4 people that are level 30 as well, you guys should probably be fine. Obviously, if you can get higher levels in there to help you, it's going to make it a lot easier. Obviously, you can use this team up button to find people to help you do the dungeon with. But basically, over here is where you're going to find your, basically you're going to want the Zeus gear. As in, you're going to want basically the Zeus hat, the Zeus robe, and the Zeus boots. Obviously, like, these dungeons are optional, like, they're not part of the main quest, but you guys are watching this video for extra gear after all, so yeah, guys. And also, another thing to keep in mind is you will come across a boss right before Zeus. His name is Ares Savage Spear, and he drops an amazing wand that you're pretty much going to be using till, like, I would say, like, at least level 60 for sure, because pretty much the wand gives 10% damage. It doesn't give any other stats, but you don't really unlock any other stats on wands till like in your 50s and 60s, so that's kind of the time to upgrade. But that wand is going to last you a while. It's called the Sky Iron Hosta. You're going to want to equip it right when you get it, seriously, because it is amazing. And yeah, so really just you need to farm the Zeus gear and get that Ares wand. It's definitely, I would recommend going through this dungeon at least once, because the wand is a guaranteed drop from Ares every single time, so that's going to help you immensely on questing. So will having the full like set of Zeus gear. It's really just going to help you a lot, and it's going to make questing just really a lot easier for you. So anyways, that's all for Mount Olympus, guys. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next dungeon, guys. So, guys, next up on your gear questing adventures here, we are in Dragon's Roost to go to basically the Great Spire, guys. So this is the final dungeon of Dragon Spire right here, the Great Spire. I just said that twice. Yeah, okay. Basically, at the end of the dungeon here, obviously, if you've at least been paying attention to the story, at least so far, at least a little bit, you'll know that Malastare is the final boss of this dungeon, and he actually drops a pretty good robe for level 50 wizards. So obviously that's probably the next piece of gear you're going to want to look out for. I don't know if he's worth it necessarily to farm day in and day out for this robe if you just can't get it. I mean, I'd recommend maybe popping the chest a few times, because I mean the robe is pretty decent. It gives like a decent card, and like it does really decent damage and like decent resist, I think, if I remember correctly. I have it on a few of my wizards, guys, but that's about it. I think it's pretty much just the robe is what he drops, guys. And another disclaimer, if you guys do happen to get a piece of gear like during your questing adventures and stuff, and I don't know, you want to use it instead of like, I don't know, let's say you have the Zeus hat, but then you get a hat from like Dragon Spire that has like more damage, and you just kind of want the damage like and minus all the other stats. Like if you guys want to do that, that's okay. Gear is like really all about mixing and matching, and it's kind of like to your preference and how you'd like to play the game. So you don't have to follow this guide exactly, but I did want to establish a little bit of a backbone for at least what you're going to want to be looking out for in the coming worlds. So anyways, yeah, the Malastare robe, it's pretty decent for sure for the level you're at. Back in like, I don't know, 2010 or some shit, this was like the place to get the gear. It was kind of crazy how far this game's come. But anyways, this piece of gear, it still holds up, at least for its level today. So anyways, go for it if you want to. I mean, it's pretty decent. But anyways, guys, let's move on to the next area. Okay, guys, so the next dungeon you're gonna get your new shiny set of gear for level 60 is going to be Waterworks, guys. This dungeon is pretty much going to give you, I would say, the best gear up until probably around, gosh, I would say probably for another 30 levels up until level 90. This is pretty much what you're going to be rocking, as long as, like, I don't know, you don't buy like pack gear and stuff for like level 70 or 80 or anything, or like don't spend crowns at all. This is pretty much what you're going to be rocking for that long period of time. That's actually kind of crazy now that I think about it. But yeah, guys, Waterworks is pretty much where you're going to be getting all your gear. Obviously, you're going to get a hat, a robe, and boots. Mainly the robe is like a really awesome piece of gear. Obviously, boots, I would kind of mix and match with pack boots if you want to buy pack boots, but of course that's totally optional, so you can get a full set of gear from here if you so choose to. The gear is very nice. Like I said, it's going to last you for a really long time. Pretty much all the gear, the full set of gear, hat, robe, and boots and everything, is dropped from like Silister Glowstorm, I think his name is. He's the final boss of this dungeon. And then also there is a basically halfway point where you defeat a giant squid boss. He also has a chance to drop the Waterworks hat, so, and only the hat though, not the other gear. The other gear all comes from the other guy. So anyways, that's where you get that gear. I will say Waterworks is a decently hard dungeon if you don't have like a high level person helping you. I'm not gonna lie, if you guys are all level 60s in here, you guys might struggle a little bit if you don't know what you're doing. But so I would suggest some prior research to this dungeon is definitely advised, because the final boss, not gonna lie, he cheats a lot. I'll just put that out there. You can look it up for yourself, but just make sure you're a little bit prepared when you're going in here. But I know a lot of max levels who actually are willing to help people in here, so try and look out for those guys. Maybe team up a few times. It's not a super easy dungeon, but the rewards are definitely worth it. So anyways, guys, let's move on to the next dungeon. Alright, also guys, I kind of wanted to throw this in here. You can also get an alternative to Waterworks gear in the area of Zigzag here. I'm pretty sure, if I'm correct here, I don't know this area very well, so because I've never actually done the quest for Zigzag, which is a little embarrassing. But you can also get really good gear, really similar to Waterworks, for level 60 plus. Here in the Zigzag dungeon, I believe it's dropped in the House of Scales, probably from the final boss. If I'm like, I don't know, just speculating correctly here. I'm guessing it's dropped from the House of Scales, since most of the gear is called like House of Scales something. So I'm pretty sure this is where you get all your gear. And I'm pretty sure you also have to like go to Lower Zigzag and do some quests there as well. It's like it's a weird two-part dungeon, and there's also this area of Upper Zigzag, which pretty much has all the dungeons located in it. So, so just in case, I don't know, maybe you'll want to have an alternative to Waterworks. The gear is slightly different, so maybe you'll prefer this gear and you'll want to go to the House of Scales for your gear, or maybe you'll prefer the Waterworks gear and you'll want to go there. So anyways, that's just another option for you guys, because since we are getting up into higher levels, there is definitely more options for gear that are presented to you. So I just want to make sure to cover all bases, all like main points of interest here. So anyways, I thought I'd throw this one in here. I didn't actually have this in my previous gear guide videos, so there you go. There's your alternative to Waterworks. Both of these sets of gear, they're very, very good. They'll last you till about level 90, and yeah, let's move on, guys, to the next dungeon, the level 90 dungeon. Yeah, let's go there. Alright guys, so the next dungeon on this list is going to be for wizards that are level 90 plus, guys. We're going back to Aquila and the Garden of Hesperides here. We are at Tartarus, guys. I'm actually going to go into this dungeon because there's something else I want to show you guys that is something to keep in mind here. Obviously, it's totally optional. This isn't like part of the whole dungeon and everything, but okay, basically, how you get your Tartarus gear, however you want to, I don't know, say it. Basically, you're going to get the hat, the robe, and the boots from the main guy, which is Hades himself. He's located all the way over there. You're going to have to do like the whole quest line to get across the river and blah, 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 fight a few guys, and then eventually you make it to his palace. There's going to be 3 bosses. There's going to be Poseidon, Hades, and Zeus. Basically, you're going to, obviously, you don't really have an option. You're going to have to fight all 3 of them at once. It's definitely not an easy battle. I would definitely recommend taking some definitely decently leveled people in here, or at the very least, take in level 90s that know what they're doing. Because if you have a group that just doesn't know what you're doing, this can probably be one of the most frustrating dungeons ever, and I would just not recommend doing it unless you have a decent team. So, anyways, there's going to be 3 bosses once you go into Hades' palace here. Obviously, it's you're going to have Hades, Zeus, and Poseidon, like I said. Except this time, you're really only going to want gear that is dropped from Hades. Hades drops 2 sets of gear. He drops an offensive set and a defensive set. You're going to want the defensive set, trust me. The reason why is because the defensive set for Hades gear gives resist, and even though I'm pretty sure it gives a little bit less crit / damage than the offensive set, the difference is barely noticeable, and you get so much more resist as a result of getting the defensive set. So farm Hades, trust me, you only want Hades' gear. Zeus and Poseidon also drop their gear, but it's not nearly as good as the Hades gear. Trust me, you're going to want all the Hades gear. The Zeus gear, obviously, you do want Zeus gear when you farm Zeus in Mount Olympus, because he's also the final boss of Mount Olympus when you're level 30 as well. But when it comes to this, you're only going to want Hades gear, trust me. So in Tartarus, there's also another boss. His name is Cronus. He is a secret boss. I believe he's located up there, like in the little gate. We can get a closer look if you guys want. He's located up here, and he drops the Blade of the Felled Titan, which is a really, really good Athame for level 90 plus. He's definitely where you're definitely gonna use his Athame for the next 10 levels, guys. So I suggest farming him a few times. He's not really too difficult as long as you know what you're doing. But yeah, he's located just through that door. So obviously this dungeon's for level 90 plus. So I would definitely recommend coming here for your next, shiny new set of gear, because this place has a lot of good stuff. Oh, another thing to mention, Hades also drops the Amulet of Divine Influence. I have it here. The thing about this is it's probably the rarest item in the game. I'm not even joking. Like, you can ask like anyone who's tried farming for this amulet and have not gotten it. Like, I got lucky, and obviously a few others like me get lucky, and obviously this is a really good amulet, as you can see. Obviously I do prefer using the Dragoon at the moment, but it's definitely a very good amulet that you could pretty much use for the entire game. Like, you'd be totally fine just rocking this all the way until level 130 and beyond, because really there hasn't been a better amulet. There's not really a better amulet than this. There's obviously amulets that are pretty much equal in power to this, but just like with a little bit different stats, like the Dragoon amulet. But if you do manage to get this amulet as a drop from Hades himself, you can pretty much rock this until like the day you die, because there really isn't that many better alternatives here. But yeah. Anyways, that's all for Tartarus, guys. Let's move on to the next area. So guys, the next boss here is located actually in Mount Olympus here. This is basically where you're going to want to get your level 90 plus ring, at least the ring you'll probably be using until, gosh, I would say at least like level 120 probably. Anyways, we'll get to that a little bit later, but Gladiator Dimmick here is where you're going to get your 90 plus ring here. He is located in Mount Olympus. Basically, you just gotta go down to like a staircase. You'll do this in the regular Mount Olympus quest, so you'll know where this is. But you just go down into the arena here. He's through this little gate. There he is. He's going to have probably, I would say 3 minions, because I'm guessing you're gonna do this with 4 people. So it's gonna be him and 3 minions. This battle, he doesn't actually really cheat. The minions are just kind of annoying. They cast really annoying spells, but yeah, if you have a good group, you're probably fine to do this. Honestly, he's not as hard as he once was. So. Yeah, he drops a ring called Alpha and Omega ring. It's a really good ring. It gives like 10% damage, like critical block, a decent amount of health. That's pretty much the ring you're going to be rocking until like level 120. But we'll get to that a little bit later in the gear guide. So yeah, this guy's not too hard. He's located in Mount Olympus. If you are doing Mount Olympus and you are level 30, I would not recommend attempting this. Please don't. Seriously, you will die a painful, miserable death, and I just don't recommend it. It's just not really a good time. So, anyways, on to the next dungeon slash area slash boss, guys. Honestly, I don't know what it could be. I'm kind of just doing this as I go, but I will see you guys there. Alright, guys, so the next boss is going to pretty much be Morgana herself, guys. So, this fight, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot more difficult when it first got released. Like, I don't know, some, like, what was it, 6 years ago or something? I don't know, something like that. But basically, if you haven't fought Morgana before, basically there's just gonna be 4 of her on like the battlefield. She's really not that hard. I don't really think she actually cheats at all. I'm pretty sure just each boss has like a decent amount of health and a decent amount of pips, and they can use shadow magic. I think that's about it. So it's not too difficult of a fight. I'm pretty sure whoever's in your crew, you'll probably be able to take her out. It's really not that difficult of a fight, guys. So also another thing, or actually I guess basically what you get from her is going to be you're getting a good athame. You're also getting a good amulet. So this is if you didn't like obviously get the amulet of divine influence, which, let's be honest, most people, I mean, you're most likely not going to get this. The Morgana amulet is pretty much like just as good, and it's a lot easier to get, guys. So anyways, from Morgana you will get a really good amulet as well as a really good athame. Obviously the athame is better than the Blade of the Felled Titan, and the amulet's pretty much just as good as the amulet of divine influence, so they're both very worth it to farm. I recommend popping the chest a few times, because that's how I got my Morgana athame, as you can see right here. There's the Blade of the Felled Titan, actually. I didn't realize I had that, but yeah. So anyways, that's the Morgana athame. I probably should show some of the gear off if I have it. Then again, I don't actually have a lot of gear on this list, so it's like whatever. But anyways, she does have a chest. I recommend popping that a few times. Actually, Tartarus also has a chest too, so keep that in mind as well, because that's actually important. Chests can actually give you some good stuff. I'm pretty sure for Morgana, she drops every single school's amulet and athame for pretty much every single school. So like I could be a fire wizard, and I got like the life athame from the chest. I don't know if you get it from the actual boss. I'm guessing you do. So it might take you a little bit to farm for yours, but it is definitely well worth it, because the gear from her is pretty good. So that's where you're gonna want to get your athame and your amulet, guys. So on to the next dungeon. Next up, guys, is going to be, yes, you knew it was coming. You knew it was going to be on the list. It is the big boy Darkmore, guys. So Darkmore, gosh, how can I even describe this dungeon? For one, it's amazing. Second, it is definitely not easy, although I think they've definitely nerfed it. God, I remember how difficult it was, like, when it first came out. Like, it was insane. Like, it's definitely a lot easier now. Just make sure you go in with a group that knows what they're doing, or else this dungeon can definitely be a pain still. So anyways, the main gear you're going to want to look out for in this is going to be the Shane Von Shane amulet, which obviously you get from Shane Von Shane. I don't remember what it's called, but yeah, I don't remember the exact name. I just know you get it from Shane Von Shane. That's another alternative to the Morgana amulet, and also the amulet of the divine influence. Also, you're going to want to look out for, actually here, I think I can use, yeah, there's teleporters over here. So basically, you're pretty much going to get like all this gear from the graveyard. Is this the graveyard? Or is this the graveyard? No, this is definitely the graveyard. Okay, so you're gonna basically get all the gear from the graveyard, which is the, in essence, it's part 3 of Darkmore here. Yeah, here it is, the graveyard. That's where you're basically gonna find everything. Actually, the Shane amulet might be dropped from Shane, who's in the second part of the dungeon. Or he might be dropped from Shane in this dungeon. I'm not actually sure which one he's dropped from. Yeah, okay, that's a little embarrassing. But, yeah, there are 2 Shanes, by the way. Shane Von Shane in this dungeon, he's a Storm boss, and then the other one, he's a Death boss. I'm not sure which one drops the amulet. They might both do. I'm not actually sure. But Shane Von Shane in here, he drops, like, a decent robe, guys. But what you're gonna really want to be looking out for is, the first boss in this dungeon. He has a really, really complicated, like, Russian-sounding name. I really don't want to try and pronounce it. I'm just gonna butcher it so hard, guys. But the guy in here, the first boss in here, he's like a ghoul-looking guy. He drops a really good theme that is definitely comparable to the Morgana theme, as well as the Blade of the... Actually, not... Forget I said Blade of the Fell Titan. That's in the past, guys. That's in the past in the guide, okay? It's definitely comparable to the Morgana theme. It's definitely a good alternative. It's called Edge of the Raging Daystar, and it's dropped from the first boss in here, guys. So, anyways, the main thing you're going to want to be looking out for, though, is the Malastare gear. Of course, the Shadow Malastare gear. You're going to be, obviously, there's a hat, there's a robe, and boots. It's a big boy dungeon, guys. Same as, like, Waterworks and Zigzag and all of them. You're going to want to be looking out for a full set of gear. Malastare, he drops a decent wand. It's like, it's not the best. It's okay, but it's, yeah, I wouldn't recommend going for the wand in this dungeon, but the gear is definitely very good. And the robe, really, you don't need to switch out the robe for like a really, really long time, but this gear is definitely going to last you till, I would say, at least level 120. I know there's definitely better, like, alternatives at that point, but it's definitely going to last you at least till there. So anyways, Darkmore's a big boy dungeon. There's a lot of big boy items in here, and I definitely recommend farming it. Just go in with a decent group or it's going to take hours and hours and hours, and I don't want that for y'all. So anyways, on to the next dungeon. Alright guys, so the next area is where you're going to want to get your level 120 plus ring, guys. This is the Skeleton Key Mimic boss, guys. So this boss, I'm not going to lie, is kind of weird. He's definitely, if you have a good group, he's definitely not that hard. If you don't have a good group, however, I'm pretty sure he can definitely take a while with his ability to transform and mimic other bosses' abilities. Yeah, he can definitely take a while if you don't have a decent group, so I recommend going in with people who, like I said before, at the very least, know what they're doing, because a little bit of knowledge can actually go a long way in these types of fights, guys. So, anyways, I have one of the mimic rings on me here. Yeah, there it is. So there's the fire one. Obviously, it has very, very good stats for level 120, and yeah, I definitely recommend farming this. This ring will obviously take you 10 levels, as you can see, compared to my later ring. So it's gonna be really essential for those 10 levels, mainly because of all the crit that it has on it. So I definitely recommend farming this boss. Obviously, it's optional. I mean, you could still rock the Alpha and Omega just fine, as long as you don't want to be critting a lot. So if you do want these crit rings, though, this is a really good boss for them. So anyways, that's all I gotta say about the Mimic. It's just really one boss. I'm in Agrabah. It's in Mirage, right here, down by the River District, basically. So anyways, that's where you find it. But let's move on to the next area, guys. Alright, guys, so these next pieces of gear are actually fairly simple to get. It's the Cabals set of gear, so this is for level 125 plus. I'm here in Aerial Jungle in Imperia, right about here at the Secret Tunnel dungeon, guys. So basically, the people in this dungeon, the little calamari raider people, basically drop this Cabalist gear, or at least they drop the like stuff you need to craft the Cabalist gear, such as like flying squid ink, as well as, I would say, I'm trying to think of the name of like the gear that you need to basically craft like this Cabalist gear. I also think they drop like the Cabalist gear as a drop themselves in this dungeon. So obviously, if you want to run through the whole dungeon for a chance at getting that, then that's good. But they dropped the Interstellar. That's what it was called. They dropped the Interstellar Engineer gear, which is gear that you need to craft basically the better version of the gear, which is gear that's called something different than the Cabalist gear, but has the exact same stats. So this is where you do that. This dungeon's actually really, really easy. You could definitely take this on solo. I remember soloing this dungeon many, many times to get my Cabalist gear. I'm wondering if I have any on me right now. It doesn't look like I do. Any of my Cabalist gear. Yeah, no, I don't think so. But anyways, that's where you get it. It's for level 25, level 125 and up. Not level 25. That would be a little ridiculous, guys. But that's where you get it. It's actually fairly simple to get. It's just gonna take a lot of grinding, so just be patient with this one, guys. And let's move on to the next area. So guys, I have not talked about wands very much in this video, and that's kind of because a lot of the bosses in the game don't really drop that many good wands. I mean, I guess you could use like the Malistaire one, and obviously the Sky Iron Hosta is going to take you through a couple levels, but really there's not a ton of good wands in this game to use that are basically kind of free in a sense. So most of the wands that you definitely want are going to be in packs, such as, I don't know, the Zafaria Safari pack. That's a really good pack for wands. So is the Nimbari Horde pack, but I don't think that's a pack anymore. Even the Wisteria Lore pack and like the Professor's Horde pack, those packs are really good for wands, guys. It's kind of weird. Wands are kind of a weird thing in this game. There's a lot of them with a lot of different stats, guys. But if you don't want to pay for a wand, you can go to your trainer in the Arcanum here. Go to Recipe Shop. You can actually purchase. I guess each trainer actually has all the recipes for every school, guys. So basically, you can craft legendary weapons, although I would not recommend crafting these, as they're okay, right? They're okay, but they're not very good. Actually, they're not that hard to craft, so if you're really in need for a wand, you can craft the legendary wands, but I was going to focus on the revered weapons, basically. So these wands are actually pretty good. They give pretty decent damage, they give good pierce, okay critical. The problem is these things are definitely hard to craft. You need Aether Ore, which you can get pretty much anywhere in Imperia. Some TC. This is from fishing. Those are from playing the little silver chest mini games. Okay, no, you actually have to craft the. Never mind. You actually have to craft the legendary first to get one of these, and then you need participation trophies, which obviously you buy those with arena tickets from a vendor in Wizard City, I believe. And then you need some of Perfect Rubies, and then Flying Squid Ink, which you can farm for in the secret tunnel dungeon that I mentioned previously, guys. So if you don't want to pay for a wand, those are definitely good alternatives to pack wands. So I thought I'd throw that in there because I don't think I did in my last video. So yeah, anyways, hopefully that helps you guys get a good wand. But I would suggest definitely buying pack wands. If you're willing to spend some money, I definitely suggest trying to get good wands. Definitely wait till you're higher level though to get them, because you know, obviously the stats scale to the level and all that, and you'll just end up saving more money. But anyways, let's move on to the next area, guys. I think this is the last area, so hopefully you guys are enjoying this video so far. But yeah, let's move on, guys. So guys, the final area where you get your last brand new set of shiny gear for level 130 plus, because that is kind of the level we're at right now, that we've been stuck at for a while. That is max level, so this is pretty much, without a doubt, the best gear in the game that you can get. Wow, it's actually really quiet and peaceful in here. I kind of like it. But anyways, the gear that you're going to want to be looking for, I have it all. It's called the Dragoon Gear. It's very good gear. Very offensive gear. I pretty much recommend every school gets this, regardless of your class, just because the stats are just so good. That's actually not Dragoon Gear. I will get to that in a second, but Dragoon Gear, this is, obviously the boots are very good. There's a Dragoon wand, but it's not very good. Basically, you can get all the recipes from this girl right here. She sells all the Dragoon Gear as well as the Vanguard Gear, which is gear that you'll need prior to crafting Dragoon Gear, because, you know, they want to make this hard to get, and they've definitely succeeded. So basically, it takes a lot of reagents to get. These are reagents that you can get from farming this dungeon. Really, how you farm for these reagents slash pieces of Vanguard Gear is up to you. There's a wide variety slash array of bosses that you can farm. I definitely don't recommend doing the final boss of this dungeon many times. I'd say stick to like the smaller parts of the dungeon and just do those over and over until you get the stuff that you want. So anyways, that's really it for the catacomb stuff. The gear is really good, except for the robes. Don't craft the robes, and don't craft the wands. I don't think the wands are... I don't like them very much, but the stats just aren't really for me, but, you know. Anyways, obviously there's really good rings, there's really good amulets, there's really good athames here. There's really good boots and really good hats. That's basically the best gear that she has. So I would stick to getting those, and definitely farming just like the smaller bosses and like the smaller mobs and stuff, because this is crafted gear after all, and you want to get the reagents as fast as possible. So guys, let's move on to the next area. There is actually one more area. This is not the last one. Basically, to get my robe here. So it's just a little bit better than the Darkmore robe. So I mean, you could say the Darkmore robe is outdated at this level. So I just want to throw this in here, guys. So let's head there right now. Okay, guys, so the final area, the final dungeon where you're going to get your last new shiny piece of gear is going to be right here in the Xanadu sewer, basically underneath like the palace or wherever it is. Basically, the skeleton key boss known as Corporal Tennyson drops a really good robe, the one that I have right here. Obviously drops one for every school. It's a bit better than the Darkmore robe. It's definitely a little bit of a step up, even though you're kind of stat trading a little bit, which is, I mean, you know, gear's just mixing and matching, so you can decide if you want this or not, but this robe's obviously very good. I think it's definitely worth farming him. As for the difficulty of the boss, I believe the last time I farmed him, I just remember him being really a glass cannon. He's not that defensive, obviously. He just has, like, his attacks kind of just get more powerful, and he just gets more pips to attack, just even more as the battle goes on. So really what you gotta do is kind of just kill him quick. You definitely need a team who knows what's going on, or he's gonna kill pretty much every single one of you guys. So anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I really hope you all did enjoy. Thank you guys really for all the support lately. It really means a lot to me. Thank you guys for requesting this video, because I know many people actually did want this. So thank you to those people who requested it. I hope this helped you out. And even if you're just coming here not knowing what I'm talking about, hopefully this helped you anyway. And I don't know, maybe for the people who didn't want this, maybe it at least entertained you. I have no idea, guys. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. In general, guys, you could leave a like down below if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more content like this in the future. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I will see you guys in the next one. And take care, guys, and enjoy the rest of your quarantine.